This is the Peter Greenwood Show, and I have 3 guests. Normally I get 1 or 2. 3 is rare. It's rare 3 people want to speak to me. Could you tell me your names, please, and what your show is?
Sure. I'm Hal.
My name's John.
And I'm Sebastian. Our show is Thorn and Petal UnScripted Shakespeare. We invent a new Shakespeare-style play every night in an improv fashion.
So, how are you guys today? You well?
Quite
Excellent.
well. Yeah.
So, unscripted Shakespeare. Shakespeare is difficult enough without having to add improv into it. Mm-hmm. How does that happen? How do you decide, we're going to take Shakespeare, why not?
Well, for the audience, I think it's easier than normal Shakespeare. Because we need to be speaking, even if we're using the language, we need to be speaking in a way that each other are clearly going to understand in order to keep the plot on the rails. So I think it's easier to understand and perceive for the audience what's going on in terms of our side of things. I feel like it's kind of just like learning a bit of a second language, but much easier because most of the words are the same as the words you'd already used.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, like the show is, a lot of people get confused about it, but we are not basing every show on any Shakespeare play specifically. It's like we're just using the tropes and techniques and language of Shakespeare's comedies and creating new stories. And so that's kind of like, that's something that we've had a lot of practice with, doing improvised narrative stories. And so just adding the Shakespeare is just adding like a new lens onto it.
And what are some of the, how do I say this? What are some of the, I keep wanting to say tricks of improv, but styles of improv you do during the show?
So we're doing a narrative improv show. So if you come in, you'll watch it. On a night where we've done really well, it'll feel like, I'm just watching a play where there are maybe a couple moments of sort of silly miscommunication between the players. But we're just trying to tell a story. So we've read a lot of the plays. We've talked a lot about the plot structures and how narratives work. But in general, we're just existing in a scene similar to like us having a conversation right now. The characters are doing that, and just sort of blind trust in whatever the other people are saying and that they're going to say the right thing.
We have some elements of the Shakespeare comedy format that we can use as a shared structure so that the other players' actions and offers are somewhat predictable in the sense, not predictable is the wrong word, but the show begins with some scenes where we see what the world is like normally, and then some sorts of, skullduggery or tricks or plots or plans are afoot. Let's say Sophia is in love with Candace, and Candace doesn't love Sophia back, and so Sophia disguises herself as Candace's current love, Romeo, and then the drama and the misunderstandings escalate. And then somehow together, with no prior planning, we are tasked with clearly resolving those for the audience in such a way that people can get married at the end of the play if possible. And not all of our shows will be structured that way, but that's kind of like a basic skeleton for a Shakespeare comedy that we can sort of adhere to if we want a smooth show.
And does it ever end with anyone dying? Like, thus, with a kiss, I die.
So for this, we've been doing mostly comedies, but early on in the run, when our marketing was not as strong, we did have a night where there was one man in the audience. And we were like, we'll obviously do whatever you want in this case. And what he wanted was, he said he wanted to see eyeballs being pulled out of people's heads. It was his one big request. And he didn't seem to have any interest in the comedy side of it at all. So we ran an hour-long improvised tragedy. There was no laughter, and it was very gruesome. And every time there was like a brutal kill, he would lean forward in his seat and he would smile. And he really loved the show afterwards. He was like, he had a great time. But I think generally, because when you have a large audience, I think the thing that pleases the most people is the comic side of things. So we tend to stay on that side of things.
That man sounds terrifying. Is he on a list somewhere? Did you get his name just in case?
I think he's a great improviser too.
Yeah, he is a good improviser too. He has a show here as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That changes the needle.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Like, yeah, when we found out that he was the person that we knew, it was. We were like, oh, you're way less scary than we thought.
So do you take audience? Do you get people shouting out from the audience? Does that happen often?
That's how we get the title of the show. So our premise is we are going to put on the best Shakespeare comedy or tragedy that ever was. And to do that, we need to leave the confines of standard Shakespeare plays. And so we'll ask the audience, or we'll collaborate with the audience to sort of compose a title. Sometimes people will come in with full titles that they want seen. Sometimes the audience, when we're flying, we tell people we can turn a title into a play. So some people show up with something they want to see. But sometimes we just sort of ask the audience for words. So we got the words mysticism and
Curious.
fireflies and curious a recent night, and so we just sort of combined those into the curious mysticism of fireflies, which isn't a real Shakespeare play, but that's perfect because
Sounds like it could be,
put
though.
it together. Yeah, exactly. And then during the show, there isn't a lot of we don't usually have a lot of like heckling or anything that we need to incorporate, but we have had a lot of fun like going out into the audience and offering people a chance to participate in the show in some way. We've distributed musical instruments to the audience. We have sort of placed ourselves in the seats of the audience as though it were like a lecture hall or something. And we've borrowed items from audience members to use in the show, so it is interactive.
I'm going to go through each one of you, and we're going to talk about the others like they're not here.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll start with you, Hal. What's made you break? Have the other guys made you break? And what was
that's
that?
interesting. The person who makes me break the most is Sebastian, because Sebastian is the person who breaks the most. And I think that if someone breaks, that makes you more likely. So the crucial difference that you can't see between the three of us is that throughout the show, Sebastian is improvising the music on a bajillion different instruments and also sometimes playing characters. And Sebastian will often, you said, does anyone from the audience heckle us? Sebastian will often come in and just throw sort of bombs into the space, and we'll react to them and delight in them. And that is by far the most likely thing to make me break during a show. We'll often incorporate Sebastian as a character, and that character sometimes is doing very chaotic things and singing chaotic songs.
Chaotic is good, though. We love
Yeah.
chaotic.
Yeah, we had this one man who was very serious, and every time he was like about to laugh, he would turn his head away. And then Sebastian was really locking eyes with him, and finally he started singing the song in a high-pitched voice, and the man just he started laughing hysterically. It was very funny.
Nick, what?
Yeah, I think, both of them definitely make me break, especially when they say stuff that's really stupid. Like, they'll use the language in a weird way, and the audience won't quite catch it, but I will definitely be there to point it out and be like, what did you just say? And sometimes I'll make that observation out loud on stage, and I think that's funny. Yeah, especially sometimes we get so into the language that it's like, what are you even talking about? Like, what's happening right now? And so I think that always makes me laugh.
I would say
Pretend they're not there.
Right. Okay. So Hal and Sebastian made me break during one show. I was playing a character that we had decided was short, and to achieve that, I did like a half squat. And I was listening to Hal's character, and Hal's character was doing this kind of long, rambling monologue that wasn't really doing much, just sort of talking to talk. But Hal had noticed that I was doing this painful squat, and Sebastian had noticed that I was doing this painful squat, and so Sebastian on the keys was playing some signals that like, hey, the scene's over, the monologue's over, da 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 ba, or and Hal was just ignoring them and continuing to monologue as my the burn in my thighs was getting greater and greater, and that was a lot of fun. So I was breaking, I was sort of sweating and bent over and changing positions and grabbing my legs, and Hal was like laughing a little bit. I could see that they would sort of check in with me and then turn back out to the audience and keep monologuing, and that was one of my favorite, most memorable moments of our whole run.
At a certain point, I had to stand up from behind my piano and wave at Sasha Sokolova, our lighting and lighting improviser and set designer, and just be like, turn off the lights, turn off the lights.
You can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So they were all looking at you like, are you okay? Are you in genuine pain? Okay, you're not. when you're in genuine pain, yell. Okay, anyway.
Right.
Verily forsooth.
Oh, the other night I laughed very hard because I was brought on as a dog. And I was like dragged around by my collar the whole night, and they thought that it would be an awesome idea to start feeding me oranges. So I just had full oranges just shoved into my mouth until I was dripping orange juice all over the stage.
Yeah. Well, first we gave you one slice, then we gave you another slice, and then you did a trick for us, and I was like, no, you can have the whole thing. And I put the whole thing in your mouth, which is like, we often will do that where we bring like
mystery
items to play with, because just having real things on the stage is a lot of fun. Eating things and just all the joy.
You don't tell the others what it is?
Yeah.
No.
What's the worst thing somebody's come on with?
Hal ate an onion during a show.
Yeah.
Just like started biting into an onion. That was pretty bad. There was a dinosaur.
There's a dinosaur.
I found a dinosaur toy right before the show, and it became actually a huge part of the show.
Yeah, usually it does become a huge part of the show. I had these giant sunglasses that were comically big for maybe 4 or 5 nights, and then finally we got the suggestion Ginger Aliens as the title of our show, and we did this crazy sci-fi show, and the aliens all had these giant sunglasses on.
These are not normal sunglasses. Like, picture the size of the palm of your hand on either side of your face, and they are neon green with blue tinted lenses.
They sound good though. I'd wear them.
Oh, wait, I think I have them here. I can pull them out.
Do we have them?
We should pass the backpack.
Do you have any visuals?
Yeah.
So the audience can just pretend.
Yeah. Close your eyes
So
and
the
listen.
Unzipping.
Here we go.
Oh my god, they are ridiculously big.
I'll wear these for the rest of the piece.
Frankly, I'm kind of insulted you didn't come in wearing them.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like you all have a great time just making each other laugh. Is that part of it?
It's certainly part of it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's how you kind of. I think that's how you kind of stay sane and happy in the world of improvised medium. But we take it pretty seriously too.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are a lot of groups that do different improvised Shakespeare things, and each have different styles. But we pay a lot of attention to the poetry of it. A lot of it is in iambic pentameter. A lot of it is oh, this is just cool, and you're seeing it kind of like a magic show of how are they doing this?
Yeah, and especially, so I'm a composer and sound designer for theater, and so during most of my year, I spend my time writing music for theater and thinking about that in a very dramaturgical way, and thinking about the true earnestness of how music helps make a piece of theater elevated. And so obviously I'm having fun, but I'm also just trying to find these moments where something really sweet could be played here, or something we could have a beautiful moment that's underscored that wouldn't necessarily be possible if there wasn't this kind of music. Last night we had a guest from the Bard and Party's production of Macbeth, and they have a bluegrass band doing Macbeth.
Well, that's a combination I never thought of.
Yeah, and so we had their banjo player join us last night, and we just it was a really beautiful show with a lot of nice relationships, and he and I played together and created this kind of awesome score for this play. Yeah,
it was almost like a concert where we kind of talked before the show, and we were in between scenes. A lot of times we'd let the music play for just a minute or 2 or 3, and then during scenes we'd often just sort of pause and look at this. That was the curious mysticism of Fireflies. So a lot of times characters would just stare at the fireflies, and you'd hear this amazing improvised bluegrass music.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of shows are doing that kind of thing. I think that's kind of rare to see, especially more than one musical improviser.
Has there ever been a moment, and I don't know if you do this during a show, where you talk about each other, but has there ever been a moment where somebody said something about someone else and you've been like, you bastard? Be honest. Wave the trust tree.
There's a term that is sometimes called pimping out, which is not exactly what you're talking about, but it is making someone on stage do something hard, like being like, oh, thank God she sent me this letter, but it's in French and in reverse. Can you read it for me? And that's the kind of moment. I'm often at the bad end of this. They're often like, oh, can you sing this song for us? Or can you da 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 da?
Yeah, I made Sebastian play something on a guitar with left-handed with one hand.
Yes, and a puppet in my other hand.
How did that go?
I think it went okay, but I had to sing a song with a puppet in my right hand and playing one-handed guitar with my left hand and making up lyrics. That was definitely hard.
Did you have to voice the puppet as well?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were voicing the puppet or somebody else was.
No, are you kidding? They they really had to double down on me.
There's definitely a version of this show where it's actually a one-man show done by Sebastian, and Hal and I just kind of bother him for an hour and mutter things in iambic pentameter. And we still call it unscripted Shakespeare.
Yeah. It's a good time.
So what is next for this show after the Fringe? You taking it elsewhere?
So there's a whole big cast in New York. Not everyone came over to Edinburgh. That plays monthly at the People's Improv Theater. And also just does gigs all around New York. And then we also run something called the Unscripted Shakespeare Festival every May in New York as well. That has a long 3-day workshop that teaches you how to do it, while also having a bunch of shorter workshops and like maybe 16 hours of shows that assembles different people who do improvised Shakespeare in one place.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is to also try to get it into other festivals that want it. It'd be awesome to go to Australia or Amsterdam or Canada.
Every so often I forget about the big glasses. Like I'm talking to Hal, like, so what's happening? And then I look over in my peripheral, just big sunglasses.
Yeah, we might have to keep these around for future shows.
It's true.
They are a crowd pleaser, I would say.
It was really nice to put them on, and then we immediately switched to the serious questions.
I also want to highlight the amazing work of Sasha, our incredible technical improviser. Like, I'm doing a ton of stuff with music, but we have someone who has such unbelievable control over the show, and she's doing such creative things with lighting, and like so many moments have been so affected by what she's done. Like, we have this thing called spot roulette because we're never sure where the spotlights are going to end up when we turn them on, and so she'll turn them on, and that will be kind of like the suggestion for the next scene. And there's
and she's often programming new light cues during the show. Like, we'll get a suggestion like the fireflies thing, and Sasha has to figure out how to make that.
Or like we had a show that was 1,000 summer rainbows, and the conclusion of the show was it was us dancing and singing a song about all the colors in the rainbow as represented by all the notes in a musical scale, and Sasha was following all the colors with this kind of awesome lighting.
And she designed the set and the poster as well. If you see that, there's a beautiful hand drawing. That's Sasha.
Where can people find out more about the show online?
I think just Googling Thorn and Petal stick.
Unscripted Shakespeare.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is there any, again, just between us, is there any beef with the other Shakespeare shows?
No.
Walking at each other like West Side Story?
Not-
There is shit-faced Shakespeare out there.
Not at all. We had Shake It Up come. 2 of their players came and performed with us the other night. Shake It Up's lovely. They're in a different time slot. We've definitely accidentally sent some people to their show as well, where we're like, come see our show, and then they're like, we loved it, and they're like, it was in the afternoon, and said, but they're super talented, and one of our favorite shows was the night they came to play with us. So.
Yeah, and we're great friends with a lot of the other Shakespeare people, like those from McPlebs, and also from Shakespeare for Breakfast. And Midsummer's Night Dream, Love Island. Yeah.
A lot of collaborations with the different Shakespeare shows here.
Which is good to know, because you imagine that there's as I said, a big West Side Story beef. You're all clicking at each other. What light through yonder window breaks, and things like that.
I mean, if we'd had the same time slot, it might have been different. It might have been cutthroat. But I was pretty we're smaller than some of the other shows, so I was definitely like, let's be in a very different time.
Yeah, it does feel like we're an annoying younger brother sometimes. Just like, hey guys, like, oh, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you come up with those words so good? But they've been super, super nice to us, and yeah, totally included us.
It's fantastic. We love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for your time today.
All right.
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thorn and Petal Stick, Unscripted Shakespeare, is playing at Theatre at Sea Arts at Sea Venue at 8:20 in the evening until the 24th of August. For more information, go to edfringe.com and type in Thorn and Petal Stick. For the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, I'll see you next time.